Hi guys, welcome to your first pattern making class. So before we get right into the business of drafting, I would like to give an overview of what the table of proportion is all about. Okay, so if you remember during the introduction video, I explained that flat pattern making involves taking measurements on a person and making a pattern with those measurements you've taken with basic proportions as a guide. So this is the table of measurements and proportions. Okay, so all flat pattern making textbooks have table of average measurements and proportions. They might vary in size range, but they are essentially the same thing. Okay, so if you look closely at this table, you see measurements to the left and proportions to the right. So the measurement part of the table are variables. That means whatever measurement you've taken, you can slot it there. But the proportion side of the table are fixed. That means the data on the right side are fixed. You can't change them except the textbook says so. So that's it. So for this video, we're going to be using the size 4 on this table with the um, measurements that have been given and the corresponding proportions. Let me quickly add that what we're about to make, the pattern we're about to make is called a foundation pattern. There are no style lines on it. It is not a design pattern. It is a working pattern from which you can go on to develop a design pattern. Okay, so let's get right into it.
The first step is to get a paper of at least 75 centimeter in length. Secure the paper to the table with push pins or paper tape. Then the next step will be to calculate the width of the paper. The width of the paper should be the larger of either half bust plus 5 or half hips plus 3 cm. So you choose whichever is larger and then you add 4 centimeters for the margin. So mark a width of 56 centimeters right across the paper and join with a straight line. Then mark inwards 2 centimeters on the left edge of the paper. That will be the center back line. Then mark in 3 cm right at the top edge of the paper. That will be the top line margin. Mark also 2 centimeters inwards from the right edge margin. That will be the center front line. You can go ahead to label accordingly. On the CB line, mark point O 3 centimeters below the top line. This is a fixed proportion for size 4 on the table of proportions and it changes every 2 sizes. Taking the rest measurements from point O, mark 40 centimeters for the waistline, 62 centimeters for the hip line, that is 22 centimeters as hip depth from the waistline. Then mark 21.5 centimeters from point O for the bust line. This also changes according to sizes. Mark also from point O 11 cm, which is an approximate half of 21.5 centimeters. This is the back line. Lastly, mark 3 centimeters from point O as the shoulder line. This is a fixed proportion for all sizes. Extend the following perpendicular lines from the CB right across to the CF: the hip line, the waistline, and the bust line. Remember to label all accordingly. Extend the back line and the shoulder line less than halfway across. Lastly, extend point O, which is the neckline, about 12 centimeters long. From point O along the neckline, measure the neck width of 7 centimeters and take this point 2 centimeters up. Mark that point, the neck point. On the back line, measure half of the back measurement, which is 18 centimeters, from CB. From this point, draw a perpendicular line through the back line, going up to the shoulder line and down to the bust line. On the bust line, mark 5.5 centimeters after the perpendicular line. This is fixed for bust 92 centimeters. On the shoulder line after the perpendicular line, mark 2 centimeters as the shoulder point. Rule the shoulder seam line between the shoulder point SP and the neck point MP. Draw the neckline from the neck point MP down to the CB with a slight curve. On the perpendicular construction line, measure 3 centimeters below the back line and an angle point of 3 centimeters on the bust line. Draw in the armhole curve as shown. On the hip line from CB, mark the quarter hip measurement HP. Roll a straight underarm seam line from the hip point HP to the underarm point UP. Mark 2 centimeters inwards at the waist. Draw a slightly curved seam line through this point as shown. Okay guys, that's it for the back piece for this video. Make sure to watch subsequent videos for dart placement. Tip before I go, I believe adding the 4 cm margin at the beginning is essential for beginners. It helps you to protect your pattern from wear and tear due to storage. It can also help you to realize errors as you're drafting. So let's say you're drafting and your patterns begin to overlap or go out of the rectangle, then you know you must be doing something wrong. You also have to ensure the accuracy in drawing perpendicular and parallel lines. You need a set square or L-shaped ruler. If you don't have that, then you have to use the top line as the reference point. You can mark your point um, at different points on the paper just so you can get your straight lines. Also, pay attention to the way the French curve or the hip curve is placed so as to get a smooth curve on the seam line and the armhole line. And lastly, practice, guys. You can't do enough of that. As a beginner, you really need to practice. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video, inshallah.